The prairie wind carried the scent of dust and dying grass when Luke Carter rode into the empty town. His horse was limping, and his stomach hadn't seen a full meal in 2 days. The sun had long fallen behind the mesas, leaving the sky a deep copper red. He spotted the silhouette of a woman sitting near the abandoned well, her hair tangled, her body wrapped in a torn blanket. Her head was bowed, and a wooden sign hung around her neck that read, "One food equals one night." Luke blinked, thinking it was some kind of cruel joke. Out here, in a ghost town where even the vultures had grown tired, there were no taverns, no inns, no people. Just this woman, still as a statue, waiting for something, or someone. Luke dismounted and approached slowly. "Ma'am, you okay?" he asked, his voice low, cautious. She didn't move at first. Then her head tilted upward, and her eyes caught the last of the sunset. They glowed with a strange amber hue, hungry, desperate, but not just for food. "I'm hungry," she whispered, her lips cracked and trembling. Luke's heart tightened with pity. He rummaged through his saddlebag, found half a loaf of bread, and offered it to her. She took it with shaking hands, staring at him as though he were something far more valuable than the bread itself. When she ate, it was almost reverent, slow, as if each bite meant more than survival. Luke sat beside her, curious but wary. "Where you from?" he asked. She chewed silently, then finally said, "Not from here anymore." Her voice was soft but carried a strange echo, as if more than one voice spoke beneath it. Luke frowned. "You alone?" he pressed. The woman smiled faintly, her lips curling like the edge of a secret. "No one's ever truly alone on this land," she said. Her words made the night feel heavier. The wind shifted. Luke noticed that her shadow stretched longer than it should have, too long, too alive. The sign around her neck rattled softly as she moved closer to him. "You're kind," she said, "to feed a stranger." Luke shrugged, looking away. "Ain't much, but I don't like seeing anyone starve." Her hand brushed his arm lightly. Her skin was warm, too warm, like sun-baked stone even in the cool night. "I wasn't starving," she murmured. "Not for bread." Her words made him turn sharply, but her face was unreadable now, her eyes glinting like two shards of the desert moon. Something about her unsettled him, yet he couldn't pull away. The longer he looked at her, the more he noticed things that didn't fit, a faint golden shimmer across her skin, a pulse beneath her collarbone that seemed to beat in rhythm with the wind itself. The ground around the well looked disturbed, as though something had been clawing its way up from below. "What are you doing out here?" he asked again, voice quieter. She smiled, tilting her head. "Waiting for someone kind enough to feed me." Then she leaned closer, her breath brushing against his ear, and brave enough to stay when the hunger wakes. Luke stood abruptly, his instincts prickling. "Look, miss, I don't know what you mean, but I best be moving on." He turned to get his horse, but the animal was trembling, pulling at its reins, eyes rolling white. The woman rose slowly, graceful, fluid, almost too smooth. "It's too late to leave," she said. "You gave me food, now I must give you something in return." Luke's pulse thundered. "That's not necessary," he said, stepping back, his boots crunching against the dry earth. But she kept coming, her eyes burning brighter, her presence filling the night. The air grew heavy, thick with a sound like distant thunder. The ground beneath his feet vibrated faintly, and the smell of iron drifted through the air. Luke realized this wasn't hunger for bread. This was something ancient, buried in her bones, in her blood. "Who are you?" he demanded, his hand reaching instinctively for the revolver at his hip. She stopped, inches away, and smiled sadly. "Once, I was a woman," she said. "Now I'm what the land made me." Her gaze fell on the bread crumbs at her feet. "Every time someone feeds me, I remember what I was. Every time they run away, I remember what I became." The wind howled suddenly, tossing sand into the air. The woman lifted her face to the sky, her blanket falling away, revealing long streaks of golden light running down her arms like molten veins. "You can go," she whispered, "but you'll never outrun me. The hunger always finds its giver." Luke's chest tightened. He mounted his horse, heart hammering, and rode hard into the darkness, the hooves pounding like gunshots. But even as the miles fell away, her voice followed him in the wind, soft, haunting, calling his name with each gust. By dawn, he reached another town, pale and shaken. The people stared when he entered the saloon, dust and fear on his face. "You came from the well road?" one old man asked. Luke nodded, too tired to lie. The man's eyes widened. "Boy," he said, "you should have never stopped for the woman by the well." She don't eat food, she eats kindness. Luke's breath caught, remembering the warmth of her touch, the way the air had trembled. And from far across the desert, carried faintly on the morning wind, he thought he heard her whisper again, "I'm still hungry." For 3 nights, Luke couldn't sleep. The whisper followed him everywhere, through the creak of the inn's floorboards, the sigh of the wind against the window, even the distant coyote cries. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw her, the woman by the well, sitting with that faint smile, her eyes glowing like dying embers. He told himself it was just guilt, the kind a man feels after leaving someone behind in the desert. But deep down, he knew it wasn't guilt. It was a pull, something invisible but heavy, tugging him back toward that cursed stretch of land. By the 4th night, his horse refused to eat, trembling at shadows. The townsfolk avoided him, whispering like he carried a sickness. He tried to ride out east, far from the valley, but the road bent in strange ways. No matter which direction he took, the horizon twisted, always leading him back to the same dry windmill, the same horizon line, the same feeling that the desert was alive and watching. By sunset, he found himself once again near the ridge overlooking the old well. His heart sank. "No," he muttered, gripping his hat. "I left this place." Yet below, he saw the flicker of firelight, and a figure sitting beside it. The same woman, still and waiting. It was as though she had never moved, as though time itself bowed to her hunger. When she looked up, the fire caught in her eyes like twin suns. "You came back," she said softly. Luke swallowed hard, anger and fear twisting inside him. "I didn't mean to," he said. "Something brought me here." She nodded, her expression calm, almost tender. "The hunger did. It calls who it remembers." She rose to her feet, taller than he remembered, her hair whipping in the wind like strands of night. "You gave me food," she said, "but what I needed was warmth. A heartbeat beside mine, a promise that the world still cared." Luke stepped back, his throat dry. "Lady, whatever you're talking about, I can't help you. I'm just a man." Her lips curled into a sorrowful smile. "That's all I ever wanted," she whispered. She took a step closer, and the ground trembled faintly beneath her bare feet. The well behind her glowed faintly now, a light coming from deep within, as if the earth itself pulsed with life. "When I died," she continued, "the land swallowed me whole. My hunger kept me here. And now, every kind soul that passes, I taste again what it means to be human." Luke shook his head, his mind rebelling against what he saw. "You're not real," he said, voice shaking. "You're some spirit, some curse." The woman reached out, her fingers brushing his chest, and where she touched, warmth bloomed like sunlight. "Curses are made by the living," she said. "I'm just what their cruelty left behind." Her eyes softened. "You fed me once, Luke. Now I must feed you, or you'll fade as I did." The air thickened, filled with a sound like a heartbeat echoing through the dirt. The wind stopped, even the stars seemed to dim. He could feel something rising from the earth, not wind, but whispers. Countless voices, low and sorrowful, murmuring words he couldn't understand. They circled the well, stirring dust and ash into a slow spiral. The woman's hair lifted, her skin glowing faintly. "Do not fear," she murmured, "this is how life returns." But Luke's body screamed to run. He pulled away, stumbling backward, gasping. "No, stay away from me," he shouted. Her expression didn't change. "Then run," she said softly. "But every road you take will end where I am." He fled into the desert, his boots pounding the dry ground, breath ragged. Behind him, the whispers grew louder, chasing him like wind-driven ghosts. The land itself seemed to twist, hills moving, dunes reshaping, stars spinning overhead. He didn't know how far he ran until his legs gave out. When he fell, the sand was cool, almost welcoming. And then, she was there again, standing over him. The hunger in her eyes was no longer monstrous. It was human, lonely, eternal. "You can't escape me," she said gently, kneeling beside him. "You fed my hunger for kindness. Now I feed yours, for meaning." He looked up at her, tears cutting through the dust on his face. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why not someone else?" She smiled faintly. "Because you cared. The land remembers those who care." She leaned closer, her breath warm, her words like a lullaby. "Every century, the hunger chooses one. A man who listens, who feels. He becomes the keeper of what was lost." Luke's pulse slowed, her voice sinking into his mind like a soft tide. "You mean," he murmured weakly, "I'll become like you." She nodded, and her hand rested over his heart. Until another feeds you. The night wrapped around them, still and infinite. The whispers faded, and the wind sighed as though satisfied. Luke tried to move, but his body was heavy, the sand rising around him like liquid. Her form began to dissolve into light, golden, gentle, wrapping around him like a blanket. He wasn't cold anymore. He wasn't afraid. Sleep now, she whispered. And when the next traveler comes, you will understand what it means to hunger for more than food. Her voice faded into the desert breeze, leaving only silence. When morning came, the well was still, the fire long dead. Only a sign lay against the stone, written in fresh ink though no one had touched it. One food equals one night. And by the well sat a man, motionless, silent, waiting. His eyes, when they caught the light, glowed faintly amber.